So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, yes, what Banish is, and then also how you can make changes in your household to reduce your waste. So the reason why I started Banish was because I was on a personal journey to reduce my waste. And when I first started doing so, it was so difficult. It was confusing, it was overwhelming. I've never seen any of these products before. I hadn't grown up with them, sorry mum, and I wasn't really sure where to start. So what I did, I was a journalist at the time, so I obviously did all my research. Sorry, Shazzy, can you please bring me a chair as well, please? So I did all my research into the best type of sustainable straw. I knew that plastic straws weren't great. Thank you. But I wasn't sure what the most sustainable one was. So there was silicone straws, there was bamboo straws, there was metal straws, but which one was going to be actually the best option for me? So when I first started doing my research, I was kind of looking into the environmental impacts, the energy, all of these different elements. And eventually I decided that for me, a stainless steel straw was the best option. I then went online, I purchased from what I thought was a sustainable business, and 3 days later, my set of stainless steel straws arrived by express post, which is terrible for the environment, wrapped in a plastic post satchel and individually wrapped in plastic. And I kind of went, oh, why did I just spend 4 hours researching the best type of straw for it just to come wrapped in plastic? It was a bit ridiculous, and I felt pretty heartbroken, to be honest. But then on the other hand, I saw an opportunity. I saw an opportunity for us to find suppliers who were legitimately plastic free, who were actually doing the right thing when it came to sustainability, but had no way to get their brand or their message out there to larger audiences. And also an opportunity for education, for a place that people weren't scared or there wasn't any shame or stigma around the fact that you weren't perfect yet, that you still used plastic every day, that you could come to somewhere and learn without kind of having those barriers about fear and, I don't know, not being very good at it. So that's why I started Banish 3 years ago. It's been quite the journey. I was here, I think, 2 years ago when Corona did this Expo last, and it's been really nice, I think, reflecting on the changes that's happened over the past couple of years. We've grown, we've got almost 500 products in the store from over 45 different Australian suppliers, and each and every week it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. We've also got the BRAD recycling program, which stands for the Banish Recycling and Disposal Program. We launched that in November last year, and it's to help Australians recycle those items that they couldn't normally recycle at home. So things like blister packs and beauty products and plastic toothbrushes, we take and accept and then recycle them for people. So I thought that the current Banish audience would be pretty excited about this. And in November, we had 7 whole people send me their waste, and I was pretty excited. And then on Friday, we picked up our last, a 1 day's delivery on Friday. We had 60 parcels in 1 day. It has absolutely exploded. We've recycled over 1.3 tonnes of plastic in the past 5 months, which equals probably about 13,000 products that have now been kept out of landfill because of the program. I just think it shows that there is this appetite and this need in Australia for individuals making change, and that people are really excited about it and that they want to go that extra mile. They want to separate all of these different items and they want to recycle them properly. So for me, it kind of inspires me and keeps me going every day, because there is this emphasis on it and there's this kind of movement pushing, even though there probably isn't too many favourable things happening in governments, the individuals know that they can make a change as well. So today we're going to talk about some of the scary statistics around plastic consumption in particular. There won't be any sperm whales with anything in their stomachs or anything like that. We'll talk about the Great Ocean Cleanup. I'm not sure how many people here have heard about that before. Then we'll talk about how to structure different waste streams in your home and how you can make a change. So as a country, Australia ranks 5th when it comes to municipal waste, and we are the 55th largest country in the world. So as Australians, we consume so much more and we throw so much more out than many, many other countries. By 2050, there will be more plastic than fish in the sea. As a big swimmer, this is something that really hits home for me, and one of the statistics that I kind of saw and went, we really need to be making a change. And lastly, the number of wild animals on Earth has halved in the past 40 years, and every 67 seconds, a different animal species goes extinct. So there's a lot that we can be doing, not only for ourselves, but also for the environment and for the animals. So the problem with plastic is actually a great invention. It's clean, it's hygienic, you can make it into lots of different things, it comes in different colours, different thicknesses. You can understand why it was created, but the biggest flaw with plastic is that it never goes away. Unless we burn it and it evaporates into the atmosphere, creating toxic gases, there isn't any way to get rid of it. If we reuse it, we're going to then get a lesser grade quality of plastic. So when you see things on the back of labels like it's called rPET, which means recycled plastic, it's a lesser quality plastic. So whilst it's great that we're keeping that going and we're keeping that in use, it degrades in quality each time. Whereas something like glass or aluminium, every time that we reuse and we recycle that, it stays at that top tier premium quality so we can keep it going. So when plastic enters our oceans or it goes to landfill or what have you, it breaks down into smaller and smaller pieces. So you've probably seen this at home with your plastic pegs. If they're in the sun for a while, they'll just start crumbling and they'll start degrading. So that's what happens to plastic in landfills in our oceans. And eventually it breaks down into such small pieces that they're called microplastics. So microplastics are less than 5 millimeters in size, and microplastics are now being ingested by fish. We found them in tap water around Australia. They're in a lot of beer as well. So it's estimated, well, no, it's not estimated. A study came out last year that found that the average Australian consumes 5 grams of microplastics each week. So we're pretty much chopping up a credit card and eating it for dinner once a week. So that is something that we can't change right now. Obviously we can reduce our consumption, but that is happening whether we like it or not. So I think there's all of these kind of statistics make you just really want to make a change, because we need to get better. We need to do a lot. We need to take a lot of actions. So now I'll let this video do the talking about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch.
Plastic pollution is one of the biggest threats the oceans face today. But how much do we really know about it? On its mission to solve this problem, the Ocean Cleanup just published the most advanced research ever on the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, the largest accumulation zone of ocean plastic on the planet. Scientists have been studying this area since the 1970s, mostly by dragging a small sampling net through the ocean. The Ocean's Cleanup's researchers believe this method was valid only for small debris and covered too small an area to reliably measure larger debris. So, in the summer of 2015, the Ocean Cleanup launched the Mega Expedition, crossing the patch with 30 boats simultaneously. In addition to using many small nets, 2 giant trawls were towed behind the fleet's mothership. In total, they brought back 1.2 million plastic samples. All were hand-counted, identified, and classified by type and size. A monumental task, taking a team of lab technicians 2 years to complete. However, the largest debris appeared less frequent and more scattered. Quantifying the debris required an area 20 times larger than the Mega Expedition to be covered, something only possible from the sky. The Ocean Cleanup ran the first ever aerial surveys of a garbage patch by converting a former military aircraft into a high-tech research platform. Cutting-edge sensors allowed them to reconstruct the 3D shapes of large debris to calculate their mass. The results of all this work? The Great Pacific Garbage Patch measures 1.6 million square kilometers. That is 3 times the size of France. The patch contains 1.8 trillion pieces of plastic, which equals 250 pieces for every human in the world. The total mass amounts to 80,000 tons, 4 to 16 times more than previous estimates. 92% of this mass is made up of the larger objects, all of which are destined to fragment into dangerous microplastics over the next few decades, if left under the effect of sun and waves. And because the findings show that pollution in the patch is increasing exponentially, the plastic is unlikely to go away by itself. These results paint a new picture of the problem and provide a baseline for the cleanup of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, set to start in 2018.
So that expedition did go ahead. Unfortunately, by the time they got back out to the garbage patch, it was far bigger than the machinery that they had created could handle. So they've now gone back to the drawing board to create a new invention to pick up all of this rubbish. This group is founded, the Great Ocean Cleanup is founded by a 17-year-old man or boy in Amsterdam called Byron Slatt, who is just pushing the boundaries with everything when it comes to plastic in our oceans. And he's also created this amazing contraption of a boat, I guess you could call it, so that he goes down the Indonesian rivers and picks up all of the rubbish as well in those rivers. So whilst it's a huge issue, there is 5 garbage patches around the world. This is by far the largest. It is also showing that there are some amazing things happening in innovation as well. So, your waste streams at home. This is for me probably where I would start when it comes to reducing your waste, because if you can look at what you've currently accumulated, what you currently have got that's, I don't know, ending up in your general waste bin every week or every month, then you're able to then make some really good changes. So I would separate this into 4, maybe 5 different boxes underneath your sink or wherever you keep your bins. So we've got your yellow bin. So that's everything that you can recycle. So your aluminium, glass bottles, paper, cardboard and plastic. Then you've got your general waste. So if you do have space and you want to learn about composting, I'm doing a talk on composting probably, it was meant to be about 10:30, Deb, but we'll see when that happens. But if you've got a compost bin, that is a really, really great thing, because about 40% of this stuff in your red bin will actually be food waste. So by composting, that's your first step to literally almost halve your waste. And then we've got soft plastics. So how many people here soft plastic recycle? Great, more than yesterday. So for those of you who don't know, soft plastic recycling is all of those kind of soft, squishy, scrunchable plastics. So to tell whether something can be soft plastic recycled or not, you literally just grab it, scrunch it up into a ball. If it pops back out, then you know that that can, generally speaking, go in your recycling bin. If it doesn't pop back out, then you can take it back to Coles and Woolworths. And at the front of every single store, they've got what's called a red cycle soft plastics bin. So you can just take everything back to there. It's a really simple, really easy program. So in my household, I probably go about once a month, just when I'm taking my when I'm going to do the groceries, I just take that as well. Sometimes it's not exactly at the front. You just have to ask. It might be hiding, but it's a really simple, easy way to recycle those soft plastics. And then we've got your odd bits. So in particular, we really want to keep batteries, light bulbs and e-waste and chemicals out of your general waste bin, because these are going to go straight to landfill, and that's where they're going to leach all of their toxic chemicals into waterways and into soils. So for example, with batteries, you can recycle these at Aldi and at Officeworks. Light bulbs you can take to IKEA. E-waste, Officeworks again will take, or your local council will also generally have a hard to recycle items day, probably once or twice I think it's about 4 times a year actually now. So that's a really great way for us to kind of get rid of those hard to recycle items. And then obviously we also have the BRAD program for people. So for those things like beauty products, blister packs, toothbrushes and what have you, you can go and look at the stand after this and see the kinds of things that we are recycling there for you. So then how can you make a change? So for this one, we're going to go through all the different areas of your kind of life pretty much. So first of all, if we're starting at home, for me, inside your home is the easiest place to start, and I would really encourage you to look at what you're buying first. Look at what you're purchasing when you do go to make a choice at a checkout or, I don't know, online. Try and upgrade to something that's more sustainable. I don't want you to go home and go, you know what, I was really inspired by that talk that I went home and I threw out everything that I've got at home. I don't want you to do that. I'd love for you to finish something up, finish your dishwashing detergents in plastic, do all of that, and then make the switch to a more sustainable option. We've got quite a few different sustainable tricks and, I don't know, nifty little products here. For example, in the home, a big thing for me is that baking paper isn't actually able to be recycled. It's very greenwashy, the fact that it's called paper, but that waxy coating means that we can't put it into our recycling bin. So switching to something like a reusable option is going to be a bit more costly to start with, but your cost per use is going to be absolutely nothing because you'll be using them for so long. That's another great option. But then it's also things like when you are at the supermarket and you're going in your produce section, for example, it's buying your loose vegetables over buying the ones that are in plastic. And if you do, I always really like to use these reusable produce bags because then you're kind of taking your big bulky green bags, but you've also got things for mushrooms and snow peas, and I'm a big fan of Brussels sprouts, very controversial. And so then I pop them in this. And if I forget this bag, what I'll do is I'll actually go over to the mushroom section and grab the mushroom bags and use them for all of my loose vegetables. Don't know if the staff really enjoy it that much because I have to open everything up when we're going through the checkout, but that's fine. They'll survive. It'll be okay. And then we've also got dish brushes. So again, coming back to that microplastics conversation, when we use plastic dish brushes, for example, we're scrubbing, putting some real elbow grease into that old casserole dish, tiny baby pieces of plastic are breaking off from that brush and are entering our waterways straight away. There's no stopping it. So if we can swap to something like a bamboo dish brush, which is all natural, not only is our kind of daily clean going to be better for the environment, but when we're finished with it, we can just pop it straight into the garden or the compost bin and it will break down completely naturally. So those are just a couple of things that I'd recommend you just have a look at when you're going to buy, something at the supermarket. There's a couple of things that I'd think about. First of all, look at the packaging. We want to be buying things that don't have as much plastic packaging in them, and none at all would be the best option. And then we also want to be looking for things that are free from palm oil. So palm oil is one of the leading causes of deforestation in the world. I could do a whole another talk on that one. But palm oil is something that it makes things foam and it makes things set. So that's why you'll often find it in things like soap bars. You'll find it in a lot of candy and chocolate because it doesn't mean that things will start melting. They'll add palm oil into there. So that's also something that I'd look for in the back of your labels there. Oh, at work. So we, unfortunately, unless you love your job, and of course you do if you work at Chrome, you love your job, you spend 14% of your time in the office. So that is often, I think, some area that we don't really think about too much, but it's something that we can make some really significant changes in. You could be greening up your commute by catching public transport, walking, riding your bike, carpooling with a colleague. It's little things like that. If you started carpooling with your colleague, you're literally cutting your emissions in half. It's a simple way to look at it. Printing less, using a reusable coffee cup or a water bottle is something else as well, which at the moment we've got the option to do, but in the future we won't have the option. The New South Wales plastic plan that came out on the weekend has actually said that we're going to ban single-use coffee cups and water bottles and everything like that, which is great. So jump in ahead of the curve, get started on that kind of routine of using reusables, not leaving the house. I don't leave the house without my single-use quitter kit, which is also a great speech warm-up for the alliteration. So in that I've got a stainless steel straw, I've got my water bottle, I've got a coffee cup, and then I've also got a fork. It's not a fancy fork. It's just one that I've got in the drawer at home, but it just does the job. And because I'm always hungry, so I never know when I'm going to need a snack. But even if I then get, something in a plastic takeaway container, I'm at least reusing something, so by using that fork as well. The bathroom is obviously the hardest part to change. There is just a plethora of products in there. It is confusing, it's overwhelming. I'm still going through and using up things that I bought in plastic years ago. But when you do use something up, it's then switching. And I think for me in the bathroom, it's not about innovation. It's actually about taking 10 steps backwards. It's about using a bar of soap again. It's about using a loofah. It's about using a safety razor. I told this story yesterday, but it's part of the community that I have on Instagram. I'm a really big fan of safety razors. So the old school metal razors. For me, they're so new. Never even heard of them before. I thought they were the best invention ever. And then I found out they've been around for yonks and yonks and yonks. And I actually had somebody message me and they said, Lottie, my grandmother died the other day. And I went, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. I'd never met her or her grandmother before. She said, but guess what? She left me her safety razor in the will. I was going, what? Great, good for you. So it just shows these products, they're built to last. They will keep on going for eons and eons of time. And you just buy then refillable blades that are about 12 cents each, and one blade will last you about 5 to 6 weeks. And then you can just go on and on and on. But again, it's little things, because every plastic toothbrush or plastic razor that you and I have ever used still exists somewhere on this planet. It'll take between, they're saying 400 to 500 years, but nobody knows how long they really take to break down because they haven't been around for that long. So if we can be switching to either a reusable option or something that will completely break down, then we're making really great big steps when it comes to sustainability. And then we're on the go. So I kind of touched on this with the office area, but it's about just taking that kit. It's about taking those reusables and also not beating yourself up. If you forget something, you can either dine in if you forgot your reusable coffee cup, or you could ask for your coffee without the lid. Little things like that. So it's just about really reducing that consumption, because we don't want to be we want to be minimalists in the best way. We don't want to overconsume anything. So now I've got a couple of questions for you all. If you were here yesterday, please do not answer this and ruin it for anybody. So, how many kilos of plastic enter the ocean every hour? A, 580 kilos. You can put your hand up if you think it's this. B, 1,580 kilos. Or C, 15,800 kilos. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's still bad, but B is the correct answer. 1,580 kilos enter our oceans every hour. So still huge, but not as dire as you all think. How many coffee pods do Australians use every day? So these are the single-use Nespresso coffee pods. A, 60,000. B, 600,000. C, 6 million. C, 6 million. We love our coffee. That's an understatement. We really do love it. This isn't adding to the statistics around kind of the amount of single-use coffee cups we use. It's everything. We are absolute addicts when it comes to coffee. So we recycle the coffee pods, and Nespresso also have a recycling program. But if you are a single-use coffee pod consumer, getting the ones that have got the aluminium are better than the ones that have got the plastic. You can also get reusable, refillable coffee pods as well for your machine. And then question 3, what is the biggest source of ocean trash? So the most commonly found item of ocean trash. I'll just let you guys yell out if you'd like. Plastic bags? Ooh, not yet. Anyone else? Lids? Nope. Nope, not water bottles. Keep going. We're going to be here for a while. Nappies, no, that is a big one, but no, not that many nappies floating around. Fishing nets, no. Probably by weight they are, but not by the number. The answer is cigarette butts. So there is a huge amount of cigarette butts that enter our oceans every single day. So that is another thing that we're often finding. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me today. You can follow me online, banish.com.au. We've got the pop-up stand today, find out more about the Brad recycling program and everything like that. But happy to open it up for questions for the next kind of 5 minutes, 10 minutes, if anybody's got any questions that they want to, any sustainable swaps they need help with, any recycling questions that I can help.
Oh my God, I actually really don't like my voice on here. When you do the recycling programs, all the stuff out the back, where do you then go and take all of that recycling?
Yeah, so it depends on which waste stream it is. So there's obviously so many different ones. So we recycle some of it with TerraCycle, which then send it on to an Australian recycling facility. The bread tags, for example, get sent to South Africa to be made into wheelchairs. Oh, wow. There's other things. Colgate have a recycling program for the toothpaste. So it all kind of gets split into all of these different streams, but it's all done within Australia apart from the bread tags.
What do you see for the future of Banish?
Ooh, at the moment, I think we're at a bit of a crossroads with Banish at the moment. We do a lot of education. We've got a lot of products on the website, but Brad is huge. Brad is a beast and it's really taking off at the moment. So I think the future will be something more related to Brad as well, because in all of the education that I do, I get by far the most questions about recycling. It's at the front of everybody's mind. They want to know where it's going. They want to know how it's recycled. And I think that there's just not enough happening at the moment, especially with the waste export ban. Everything needs to be recycled on shore, which I think is a really exciting opportunity. So something that I'd probably like to play more into. Yeah, it's something that I'm looking into at the moment. I do a lot more education for corporates and councils at this point, but schools has been identified by a lot of people.
Now who are like sixth form age, I don't know, between 16 and 18, who are like real warriors for this. So I feel like it would be such a good opportunity for you to go in and do this exact talk to them. Because I guess they're the ones who are going to make a difference in the future.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when I do the corporate talks, I often have a lot of parents who come in and say, I need to be here because my kids know how to recycle better than I do. And you kind of go, okay, well, you're here, that's the first step, and then we can teach you from there, because they're being taught in schools about plastic in the ocean, and then they see their mum go to Coles or Woolworths and use a plastic bag, and they go, well, Mum, why would you do that? It's so black and white and straightforward to them, but we've been brought up in this behaviour and this lifestyle where we consume so much, and they're really challenging this, which I think is great.
We spoke to your podcasts yesterday, and it was an interesting person that you spoke of. Do you want to bring that person up again?
Yes. So we've got a podcast that we run called Sustainability Further. It's in its second season now, and every fortnight I interview different people or change makers in sustainability, one of which was Dr. Steve Cummings, who's the Innovation Director at Caroma, because I'm showing my age, but I didn't actually know that the dual flush button on toilets was an Australian invention, and it was actually created by Steve. So we spoke about that and about how literally the difference by pushing the half flush instead of the full flush means that each day Australians are saving pretty much the whole body of water in the Sydney harbour by just pressing that half flush. So it's amazing to kind of think about sustainability in a sense of we've got plastic, you've got recycling, you've got water. There's so many different areas. And I think that's what I love about the podcast is we talk to so many different people. So we have people from the City of Sydney, from social enterprises, everything. It's not just about kind of plastic and recycling all the time.
Questions, please.
If you had to pick 5 swaps, your top 5, what would they be?
5 swaps. Good question. Composting would be number 1 on my list. I think the second one would be a bamboo toothbrush, using a bar of soap, and then a coffee cup, I would say, if you're a coffee cup consumer. If you're not, then don't humour yourself and get one anyway. And then my last one would be a dish brush. I just think it's those things that you're using so often, they need to be the ones that you reduce first. I think it's really hard to be prescriptive because this is kind of like a health journey. You don't want to be telling everybody it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. You really need to be looking at your own lifestyle and then making those steps and those changes, which is why I think it's so difficult, because it's not really like you can say like, oh, great, I don't know, Sally, she uses her reusable coffee cup every day and I don't, so she's more sustainable than me. You can go, well, no, I maybe don't eat meat, or I might drive to work. I might, ride a bike to work instead of her who flies around the world or used to fly around the world every second month. So I think it's really difficult, and I think that's why there is this challenge with sustainability, because people compare themselves to one another. They feel disheartened, they get confused, all of this kind of stuff. They read articles online and just feel like there's no point. So I think that's what we're trying to do at Banish, is inspire people, make it easy for people, and just create a safe community for people to kind of go, yes, I can do this. I'm not perfect. I still use plastic every day, but I am doing better than I was. And every day I get better and better.
Do you want to just speak to the products, Lottie, and then we'll take a 5-minute break and you can come and do the workshop. And by the way, my hair looks fabulous today because I used the shampoo bar this morning, and I was tentative because you always think it's like a bar of soap and my hair's going to get dry, but the bar of shampoo rather than the plastic works beautifully because look how fabulous my L'Oreal look
Stunning.
is today.
Which one did you use?
For dry hair. Sorry, I'm just overshare there, I know, but there you are.
No, that's good. So yeah, the shampoo bars are great. One block of shampoo and conditioner bar is the equivalent to 5 to 6 bottles of shampoo and conditioner. So by using one of these, that's a really, really great way to really reduce your waste. So for me, you literally just get it, you rub it either in your hands or you can pop it straight onto your head, and it becomes so much foamier than you anticipate. And then you can just wash it out. So that's a really great swap when it comes to the bathroom. We've got the loofahs, obviously, which are just made from the loofah plant. I'm not sure if you guys have seen them. So literally just cut them up and use that instead of those, what are they called? The shower poofs, which are made from plastic. We've got the little Pepino compost bins. So the reason why we created this one was to make composting sexy. I'll talk more about that. But composting doesn't need to be gross. It doesn't need to be smelly. You can make it look swish and cool. And then we've also got the stainless steel clothes pegs, which are made from marine grade stainless steel. So they won't rust, they won't crumble in the sun or anything like that. These are by far one of our most popular products because everybody is obsessed with them. I've just moved into a new apartment block and I'm so concerned someone's going to steal them. So I just keep pulling them in, going, no, these are mine. They're very special. And then we've also got beeswax wraps. So when it comes to storing your food, obviously we use a lot of cling film. We use, some people do use the wax paper as well to store food. So using things like beeswax wraps are great. If you've got Tupperware containers at home, just keep on using those. If you get takeaway, there's no point throwing those takeaway containers out. You can just pop it all in there and just reuse them over and over again. If you get a Snaplock bag, see how many times that you can use it. I was talking to somebody yesterday who was saying because we've got reusable bread bags, so you take them to the bakery rather than needing to get paper. And one guy actually did an experiment and he took his same paper bag that he got his initial loaf of bread in back to the bakery 100 times before it split. So it's just rethinking those different things and going, can I use this again? Can I repurpose it? There's nothing wrong with having a Snaplock bag if you use it 200 times. It's just the fact that it probably won't last that long, which is why using a reusable option is going to be better. Then we've got, what else have we got? Dish brushes. We've got cotton tips that have got bamboo stems. So these are one of the items that have been released as part of the plastics plan, is that plastic cotton tips are actually going to be banned in the next couple of years in New South Wales, which is really, really exciting. When I started doing beach cleanups, I was going, gosh, people are eating a lot of lollipops. Like I never knew people were eating this many lollipops. And then I went, oh no, it's actually cotton tips that I'm finding on the beaches. So that's another really great swap. We've just got a lot of stuff, guys. You just have to come and have a look, check it out. And yeah, if you've got any questions, please let me know.
We might take a 5-minute break and then come back and do your next session. Does that sound like a plan?